Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joey's Retro Newscast. It's Friday, so here is all of your retro handhelds, retro gaming, and gaming news. First, Joey news. You might have noticed I don't have a lot of videos that have been coming out lately. I've been doing one video and then the newscast every week. There's a reason for that. I'm going to be on vacation in a few weeks, and so I'm trying to build up a bunch of videos so that while I'm gone, it doesn't look like I'm gone. I am almost caught up. Give me one more week, and then I'll have a few more videos extra that I can just release throughout. So if you're wondering where I've been, I'm still here. I'm doing all of my things. It's behind the scenes. You're not seeing it yet. You'll get there. Let's get into the news. MelonDS on Android has been updated to version 1.0. Just a note that save states are incompatible with this version, and you should be doing in-game saves. Anyways, it doesn't matter what update you're doing, you should be doing in-game saves all the time. Just be careful with that. Anyways, with this update, they've updated the core to MelonDS 1.1, which is from the main MelonDS that's on PC. They've added support for dual screen devices, which was in the nightly version of this, but now it's in this. So they're basically taking the code from Sapphire Rodonite's fork of MelonDS, which we'll talk about in a second. Multiple improvements to Retro Achievements integration, so they've added that part from the fork. Rumble Pack support, DSiWare titles can be launched directly from the ROM list. Soft input can be hidden when a controller is detected, and a few other things. Now, the first question you're going to have is it worth changing back to this MelonDS from MelonDualDS by Sapphire Rodonite? My answer is no, and we're going to talk about that in one quick second. This is the original MelonDS, the one that's on the Google Play Store, which should have been updated by now. I haven't checked, but it should be updated by now if you're using that one. And it's also on the GitHub as the main MelonDS Android that people used for years. The dual screen fork is ahead still. So while this copied all of the features from that fork, the fork still has all of these features plus more features. That's why I say to stick with the fork as of right now. And speaking of the fork, let's talk about it. MelonDualDS has been updated to version 0.7.0 release candidate 1. This is pre-release, so if you're using Obtainium, it won't download for you automatically. Wait for an actual release, unless you want to test this. But the big thing here is Vulkan integration. Yes, that's right, we have Vulkan now for DS games on Android. Now, this is from like 2 weeks ago. I completely missed this because it was a pre-release, so I apologize. But basically, we have Vulkan integration, and this is meant for testing at the moment. It is not stable, anything like that. That's why it's in pre-release. On top of that, the release candidate also has fixes from the main MelonDS that's been implemented in here as well. So that's why I said this is the best option to use going forward. It has the most features, the most functions, and it gets updated quickly compared to the other option. So if you want to check out Vulkan on MelonDS, then update to the pre-release version. And the exact same scenario here with CEMU on Android. So the main CEMU Android project from SimCo, or SMCo, has been updated to experimental release 0.4. They've implemented controller and device rumble and controller motion. They fixed emulation surface, not drawing over display cutout, whatever that means, and they've implemented hotkeys. Now here's the problem. The fork by Sapphire Rodonite works with dual screen devices. This does not work with dual screen devices. So if you're using a single screen device and you really want hotkeys right now, you could probably upgrade to this option and go on with your life. Otherwise, I would have to imagine that Sapphire Rodonite is going to be updating their fork to implement this code pretty soon. I don't know. This is me guessing, but they've been on top of things for all of the other forks. So maybe wait for that if you're a Thor user, but there's not much else you can do anyways if you want to use dual screens. So yeah, this is where we're at. And I should probably mention, because I got in trouble in the comments for this one, CEMU is the Wii U emulator for Android, just so you're aware what that is. And MelonDS, both the MelonDSs are DS emulators on Android. I will try and remember to keep doing that as I go along. Spruce version 4.2.0 is now out. Spruce is a custom firmware that's available for a bunch of MIUI devices, TrimUI devices, and so on. You can see it on screen. And as far as what's new here, what's different, I'm trying to look through. And it looks like a bunch of little fixes from what I can tell. I say little all the time, and these are probably very big fixes. But yeah, I can't point to anything for my audio listeners that is major here. But let me just double check. Yeah, no, I don't see anything completely major here. Just a bunch of different updates and changes. So if you are using Spruce, you probably want to update. And if you are a developer of Spruce and you want to yell at me for not calling out a major feature, then you can do that too. GammaOS Next version 1.30 and 1.3.1 is now out. Wait, why is there two different ones? Gamma. Anyways, this is a new release with a whole bunch of new features. So let's go over the big thing here. GammaOS is a custom firmware available for a lot of Android devices, in case you're wondering what that is. The first thing here is there's a new device release, and it is the Anbernic RG Vita Pro getting GammaOS support. This is the first one to ship with version 1.3.0, and it also gets a factory overclock in it as well. Vita Pro, from what Gamma says, has no active cooling, as we know, so a small aftermarket heatsink is recommended to hold these clocks for longer. So you may want to just turn off the factory overclock if you have the option to, which I assume you can. Now with this comes new features to GammaOS. The first is GammaOS Nano is what he's calling it, and it is an instant boot to games. So basically, Nano carves out a small minimal boot path when you power on, and you can see your game in a few seconds. This is pretty cool for anybody that doesn't like the Android boot up. That might take a little bit longer. It's never really been that long, but hey, he's made it a lot quicker. Another big update here is GammaOS OTA. So in-place updates, no more recovery. Basically, Gamma's OTA here flashes the full system image in place on the device, and you don't have to go through recovery. You don't have to do anything like that. So it is a big update here on how you update GammaOS to the new version. It's awesome. Then we have Gamma Pad, and Gamma Pad is basically grabbing all of the physical pads and merges them into a single virtual device, and then exposes everything in settings in a live input tester. That all sounds like NASA stuff. All this means is that it's going to improve how actual gamepads are detected, how your actual handheld is detected on Android, which, yeah, Gamma's doing things. Lastly, there's a whole bunch of settings, UX, and platform features, and all that sort of thing. This is a massive, massive update for Vita Pro users, it seems like, right now, since they're the only ones that have 1.3, from my understanding, looking at this. But I could be very wrong about that. Either way, 1.3, 1.3.1, keep an eye out for Gamma. Last of the updates here, and Vita3K on Android got an update. And I played with this. I actually tested this. They have changed the way the UI looks now. So if you remember, if you've used Vita3K, when you go into the top menu and you search or you do something like graphics or controllers or whatever, it opens this little box, and it was kind of annoying to change things. Now they've implemented this entire new UI, so it looks more like an actual Vita does and the software there. So if you have not updated Vita3K and you do use it, you should open it and update it. It's usually in the app now. If you're on one of the more recent ones, they have in-app updating, so you don't need to use Obtainium or anything like that. Just update, and you can check out what the new UI looks like. It also was a little bit more stable. I didn't have any crashes when I was installing firmware and all of that sort of thing, so seems like they've done some improvements here. And of course, Vita3K is a Vita emulator on Android. Okay, so question of the week, and I appreciate you all for answering the question of the week every week. I read all of the comments, so I read all of your notes and comments and answers and all of that, so I appreciate you all for doing so. My question of the week this week: do you play your handhelds in public? This comes because on the Discord, we had somebody that said that it was icky or weird to play their handhelds in public, which to me, for a portable handheld device, where else would you play a handheld? That's how I see it, right? Like, I know a lot of us play it at home a lot. I play it at home a lot. But the general purpose of these devices is to be portable, right? They're handhelds. You want to take them out on the go with you, whether you're flying or wherever you are. So my question to you all is, do you play your handhelds in public? Do you feel weird playing them in public? Is it a society thing? Is it something that bothers you? Anything like that? My perspective is, I am 37 this year. I could not give a shit what anybody thinks of me playing a handheld in public. Just this weekend, we were at the mall. I was playing my handheld while following my wife while she was shopping. I don't care. I was sitting down with all the other old men in the chairs playing my handheld in public while I was waiting for her to finish shopping. Don't care at all. That is where I stand. That is where I sit. Like, I don't care. I'll play it on a plane. I'll play it in a mall. Wherever it is. Doesn't matter. It's whatever. But let me know in the comments what you think. Do you feel weird about it? Do you feel self-conscious about it? Like, where do you stand on this whole playing devices in public thing? I'm curious. So remember last week when we talked about OnePlus and their new upcoming handheld? Well, for some reason they're calling this a handheld, but it is like a telescopic controller that isn't really a telescopic controller. There is kind of like a snap-on controller with buttons on the back, like triggers and stuff, but the front is the actual phone. So you're using your thumbs and stuff to touch the buttons on the actual screen. It's just the back that gets like a actual, I don't know, triggers and a cooling thing if you need that and all that. That instantly means I don't really care about this at all. Like, I would want a telescopic controller if anything, or like this idea of a snap-on thing seems really cool, but like you got to expand that out and add the sticks and the buttons and stuff. Like, you can't, I don't know. Does this do anything for you guys? Let me know in the comments. Also, a continuation from last week. Remember how the Legion Go 2 was $3,000 US? Well, the other Legion Go's are now more expensive. So the Legion Go S Z2 Go model is now $989, and the Z1 Extreme is now $1,579 US. Why is Lenovo the only one affected like this? Why isn't it like, okay, Asus has released or updated their pricing like a few $100. I've seen it. But like Z1 Extreme Go S was like half that or something. I don't even know what video cards is saying the price used to be. It's $849 or $899. So yeah, almost half that. What is happening on Lenovo's end here? What is going on with Lenovo and their prices on these devices? Why are they going up so much compared to the competition? That's what I want to know. Anyways, yeah, maybe don't buy any PC handhelds for the next little while. I think that seems to be the running thing. You can probably check used. There are a lot of Z1 Extreme devices that you can find used. But yeah, it sucks. And Anbernic has released another video on the RG Rotate. I don't know, nothing special. They're just showing it off in a cafe of some sort. So look, Anbernic is bringing out the device in public. Look, they're out in the public right now, showing it off. She's flipping it and rotating it and doing all sorts of things out in the world. Yeah, I have still no interest in the RG Rotate, but it's just another video on the RG Rotate. So if you want to see what it looks like and see more about it, then check out the video. Okay, and as always, a reminder of our Game of the Month, which we're going to start voting on next month's Game of the Month, ROM Hack of the Month. So if that excites you and you want to vote on some games, you should come join the Discord. That's what we're doing. I'm going to tell you that next month's is going to be all underrated, hidden gem type games, for at least the games, not the ROM hacks. I can't do that for ROM hacks. But Games of the Month, I'm doing an executive decision here. They're going to be hidden gem, underrated type games that we're going to vote on. So if that interests you, come vote. For our current Game of the Month, it is Super Mario Galaxy for the Wii. Our ROM Hack of the Month is Banjo, Jiggies in Time, Banjo, Jiggies in... It's an Ocarina of Time Banjo-Kazooie mashup. That's it. I forget what it's called. And our game of the season is Chrono Trigger. So if you want to play our current games, you can come play it. If you want to play or vote on our next games and then play those, you can come do that. Just come join the Discord. That's what we're doing. Okay, as always, we end off our newscast with the newscast Q&A. You can send in your questions to newscast@joeysretrohandhelds.com, or there's a Discord channel. You can send it in through there on the Discord. It's called Newscast Q&A. First question and only question comes in from Dizzy Lizzy, who is mad at me. But she said, why do you keep dunking on people who want to use things that aren't their phones to listen to music? Okay. I grew up in the generation that had iPod Nanos, Microsoft Zunes, had all of these chalk players. I had it pre-skip, where you would walk around with the CD player and it would skip in your hands as you were walking. You had to hold it like really quick, like just stable so that it doesn't skip. I grew through all of that, all right? we live in the day and age where your phone can do music better than anything else on the market right now. And I know this question is in response to my RG Rotate comments from last week, where I still don't understand why you would buy an RG Rotate for music when you have a phone in your pocket. And so let's expand on that. The RG Rotate is a whole ass other device with not a long battery life. It's got a 2000 milliamp hour battery inside of there. It's not going to last very long. It's also big. Like, it's bigger than your phone. It's thicker than your phone. If you look at it, it's massive. So you're taking up space in your pockets with another big thing. The headphone jacks on these devices, usually pretty bad. You get some static and sort of thing, all that sort of thing. Usually not very good. It is a toss-up on whether the headphone jack on a device by Anbernic, usually, or others, is very good. So you have that option. That also is an issue. And then the whole other thing with codecs and all the other thing, like, it just, why? I guess the question to throw it back to others is, why would you want an RG Rotate, a dedicated music player? And I don't care, like, if you want to use an iPod Nano, whatever, sure, whatever. They're small. I have one. It's very small. But the RG Rotate as a music player, when you have a phone next to you, makes no sense to me. That's where I get confused. The only thing I could see is if your phone doesn't have enough storage on it for music. That is the only thing I can see as to a reason why you would bring a whole other device with you. But even still, I would just have a curated collection of music or whatever. Or, like, I get that not a lot of people have internet wherever they are. I mean, you would just stream music. Like, most people have internet 99% of the time. I don't think I'm crazy for saying that. Like, you do. So, like, just Spotify it or whatever. Am I going to get in trouble for all this? I don't know. Let me know in the comments where you stand. Where do you stand on all of this? Do you need a whole dedicated music playing device? I have to assume that 99% of people do not need that at all. But if you're one of those people, why? And why would you pick up a RG Rotate over your phone to do this? Why would you carry both? That's what I want to know. Let me know in the comments. Dizzy Lizzy, I want to hear from you too. Let me know. That's going to be it for this one. I appreciate y'all for watching. Like and sub. Do all that sort of stuff. Come join the Discord. Definitely support me if you want through Patreon and YouTube membership. And that's going to be it for this one. So appreciate y'all for watching. And that's all from me, Cuxhaven, Germany.